Okay, let's dive in. We're looking at a fascinating source today. Feels incredibly relevant, but it's actually a Dharma talk from back in 1953.
That's right, and it tackles something really fundamental, doesn't it? How we hold things together.
Exactly. Connection, harmony in relationships, communities, even, well, within ourselves.
And what's great about this source is it gets specific. It doesn't just talk about harmony, it gives actual principles.
Mhm.
And crucially for us, it provides the original Pali phrases alongside English translations.
Which is perfect. It lets us get closer to the original meaning, using the terms the source itself provides while keeping it clear for, an English-speaking audience.
Precisely. We can ground our understanding in those specific terms.
So that's our mission for this deep dive then, to unpack this 1953 talk, really understand these principles through the Pali and English given, and figure out why the speaker saw them as so vital.
Okay, so the core concept here, the big idea, is something called Sanghavathu.
Isinghavatha. Okay.
Yeah. You could translate it roughly as maybe acts of helpfulness or perhaps principles of integration, basically the things that bind people together, that hold society together. The glue, if you like.
The glue, I like that. And the source itself uses a really powerful image for this, doesn't it?
It does, a very vivid one. It compares these principles to the linchpin of a chariot.
The linchpin, right, that small pin holding the wheel on.
Exactly. The Pali word is A for the pin and Ratha for the chariot. Tiny part, but utterly essential. Without it, the chariot just can't move. It falls apart.
And the source gives a Pali verse about this.
Yes, and importantly for our approach, it provides an English translation right alongside it. It says, giving, pleasant speech, conducting oneself for others' welfare in this world, and equality wherever it is appropriate.
Okay, those are the 4 key things.
These are the acts of helpfulness in the world, like the linchpin of a moving chariot. And then it explains the consequence. If these acts of helpfulness were not there, neither mother would receive honor and worship because of her child, nor father because of his child.
Wow, okay. So it's saying these aren't just nice ideas, they're fundamental even to basic family respect.
That's exactly the point the source makes. It continues. Because wise people contemplate these acts of helpfulness, they attain greatness and are praised.
So that linchpin analogy, it really lands the importance. Without these Sanghavathu, things just don't work, from the family unit right up to, well, society as a whole.
Precisely. It's presented as that fundamental.
Now, before we get into the details of those 4 principles, giving, pleasant speech, and so on, the talk sets up a kind of foundation, right? Something about refuge.
Yes, that's right. Before diving into the practical actions, the source emphasizes what it considers the ultimate refuge. It identifies the Buddha, Buddho, the Dharma, the teachings, and the Sangha Sago, the community, as the true sources of refuge.
And it uses specific phrases for this.
It does. The source repeats the phrase, Nasu nati me saranyanya, which means, nothing else is my refuge.
Nothing else.
And then it follows with, Buddho me sarankavar, the Buddha is my supreme refuge. Then repeats, Nasu nati me sarankenya, Dhammo me sarantevara, the Dharma is my supreme refuge. And again, Nasu nati me sarankanya, Saho me sarankayavara, the Sangha is my supreme refuge.
So establishing that grounding first.
Exactly. And the source adds a note that even though they're presented separately, they are fundamentally one ekabhutam panathato. The idea seems to be that this inner reliance, this ultimate refuge, is the bedrock from which you can genuinely practice those outward acts of helpfulness. It gives you the stability, the orientation.
Okay, that makes sense. Setting the internal compass before navigating the external world. So with that foundation laid, let's circle back to the first of those 4 Sanghavathu, the first linchpin element mentioned in the verse. That was dana.
Dana, yes. Simply put, it means giving or charity.
And the talk presents this as pretty fundamental.
Incredibly so. The source suggests it's a basic human interaction, something that existed even before the Buddhist specific teachings. It's vital in families, obviously parents giving to children, partners to each other, but also wider society.
You mentioned an anecdote.
Yeah, the source briefly mentions an anecdote about the success of Chinese merchants being linked to their practice of giving, highlighting its practical application in the world, even in commerce.
Interesting. And the talk gets quite specific about who one gives to, doesn't it? Using a particular term.
It does. Thakini apugala. Persons considered worthy of offering.
Worthy of offerings.
The source states that giving to these individuals yields significant results, brings powerful merit. And it actually lists 9 categories of such people.
9. What are they based on?
They're primarily based on stages of spiritual attainment, according to the Buddha's path outlined in the source. It lists path and result stages for stream entry, Sukapati, once return, Sakadagami, non-return, Anagami, and the fully liberated state, Arhat. That's 8 categories.
And the ninth.
The 9th category mentioned is Kuttabu, individuals who have attained Dhammakaya. And the source explicitly notes this category includes men, women, children, monks, and novices. So a broad range within that specific attainment.
Okay. And the source also highlights giving one particular thing, food.
Yes, Vajana food. It really emphasizes the benefits of giving food, detailing 5 specific qualities. The Pali term used is a hanani, that the donor gives to the recipient through the act of giving food.
5 qualities given through food. What are they?
According to the source, they are Ayu, which means long life,
Okay.
Vanche, beauty or good complexion,
Right.
Sukha, meaning happiness, Balai, strength, and Baifedi, which translates to intelligence or readiness of mind.
Long life, beauty, happiness, strength, intelligence. Those are significant things.
Absolutely. And this is where the source makes a really crucial point about the nature of giving.
Which is?
That it's not a one-way street. It's not a loss.
Yeah.
By giving these qualities, the donor actually receives them back in return.
Ah, so it's reciprocal.
Exactly. The source gives the Pali for this too. For instance, Ayukudafa Ayutavagya Hoti.
Meaning?
Having given long life, becomes a recipient of long life. And it does this for each one. Vantaka, Dattva Vankasa Bhagya Hoti. Having given beauty, becomes a recipient of beauty.
Okay, I see the pattern.
Sukha Dattva Sukhasa Bhagya Hoti. Having given happiness, becomes a recipient of happiness.
And the last one, intelligence.
Paivata Dattva Pavibhagya Hoti Tipasava Vamanusasa Bhagya Hoti. Having given intelligence, becomes a recipient of intelligence, divine or human.
Divine or human. So the benefit can be profound.
That's the implication. Giving creates a positive cycle, and the source connects this act of dana directly to accumulating punya.
Punya. Merit, right.
Yes, merit or goodness. The talk describes this merit accumulating, visualizing it as a sphere of purity. It uses the term Dwam Bun, located in the center of the body.
A sphere of purity.
And this accumulated merit, this Dwang Bun, is presented as a kind of genuine inner refuge, a source of strength.
An inner refuge built through giving.
Precisely. The source even cites the example of the Buddha himself, relying on his vast store of accumulated perfections, his barami, to overcome challenges. It briefly lists the 10 barami, giving dana, morality, sila, renunciation, nekama, wisdom, panya, energy, virya, patience, kanti, truthfulness, saka, determination, adhyahana, loving kindness, metta, and equanimity, upeka.
So dana is the first of those 10 perfections, and also the first linchpin principle. It's foundational.
Foundational, exactly.
Okay, let's move to the second principle mentioned in that linchpin verse, payavaja.
Payavaja, sometimes rendered as piyavaka. Both refer to pleasant speech.
Pleasant speech. How does the source describe that? Is it just about being nice?
It's a bit more nuanced than just being nice, though that's part of it. The source talks about using words that are beautiful, agreeable, pleasing to the ear, words that naturally attract people, that foster harmony.
Okay, so the quality of the words matters.
Yes, and the effect. The goal is to create connection and, crucially, to avoid causing offense or harm, either to others or, interestingly, to oneself.
Avoiding harm to oneself through speech. How so?
Well, harsh words can create enemies, damage reputation, lead to conflict,
Yeah.
all things that ultimately harm the speaker too. So, pleasant speech is presented as skillful and protective.
Right. And the talk sees this as particularly important for certain people.
Yes, it highlights its importance for leaders or anyone who interacts with many different people. It's about using language effectively and positively to build bridges, not walls.
Makes sense. So giving, pleasant speech. What's the third principle? Atthakara.
Atthakariya, correct. This translates generally as beneficial conduct, or conducting oneself for the welfare of others.
So moving beyond just pleasant words to actual actions.
Exactly. The source explains this as consciously not seeking happiness only for oneself. It's about actively working for the benefit of the collective, ensuring that well-being is shared.
Does it give examples?
It does. Quite practical ones, actually. Like helping your children gain knowledge and skills. The source specifically mentions helping them get degrees so they can stand on their own feet.
Okay. That's very concrete.
Also, helping neighbors, contributing to the community. And it mentions supporting the structures that uphold society, giving the example of helping maintain the continuity and health of institutions like the Sangha.
So it's about contribution, upliftment, ensuring others thrive too.
Precisely. Actions that genuinely benefit others and the community structure.
Okay. And the fourth and final principle from the verse, samanatata.
Samanatata. This one translates as equality or impartiality.
Impartiality. How is that described in the talk?
The source describes it as an ability to adapt and treat everyone appropriately, to fit in skillfully wherever you are. Regardless of people's background, the talk mentions gender, nationality, language.
So being adaptable and fair.
Yes, and crucially, doing so without causing friction. Not just in your outward actions or words, but even internally in your thoughts and attitude. It's about finding common ground.
And the result of practicing this.
According to the source, the result is that people feel comfortable with you. You're treated as one of them, essentially, wherever you go. It establishes easy connection and belonging, being even-minded and fair in how you relate to everyone.
Right. So those are the four. Dana, giving, Payavaja, pleasant speech, Athakarya, beneficial conduct, and Samanatata, impartiality.
That's them, the four Sanghahavata.
And bringing it back to that central image, these four are the linchpins.
They are exactly that, according to this 1953 talk. The source revisits that linchpin analogy to really hammer the point home. These four principles are presented as the practical mechanisms that keep the chariot, whether it's society, community, or relationships, moving forward and staying intact.
Without them, things fall apart.
That's the stark message. And the source concludes that part by reinforcing what the verse said. Practicing these four Sanghahavatu is how wise people gain respect, attain greatness, and earn praise. It's the pathway to social harmony and personal standing.
It's quite compelling how this talk from, over 70 years ago distills these ancient concepts into such practical, actionable advice, starting with that ultimate refuge.
And then providing these four clear principles for navigating the world effectively and harmoniously. Dana, Payavaja, Athakarya, Samanatata.
Understanding them through the specific Pali and English terms the source uses really clarifies what this talk saw as the essential mechanics of a connected, functioning world, the things that keep that chariot rolling.
Definitely. They're presented as timeless guides for building strong relationships and a truly harmonious community.
So perhaps a final thought for you, the listener, to take away from this deep dive. As you go about your day, think about your own interactions. Which one of these four, Sanghahavatu giving, pleasant speech, beneficial conduct, or impartiality, feels like the biggest challenge for you right now?
Or maybe which one feels like it holds the most potential? If you were to really focus on cultivating just that one principle, how might that shift things in your own life, in your own world? Something to consider.